Hey guys, I'm a little bit early, 1 minute early. Gonna be going over first take, but first I would just rather talk about sports in general, or just how your guys' days are going. So this is on Mondays. I'm gonna be doing first take right after first take. Thinking about calling it first take my take, but then I might get copyright issues, so I just put first take reactions. They're going to be live, and they're usually going to be about 45 minutes to an hour long live stream. So it's kind of a nice way to kick off your morning if you're on the West Coast. I'm I was super tired. I have to have another cup of coffee right after, so I'll definitely be doing it um at this same time every time because otherwise people are just too tired to watch and no one's really up for talking sports because it's quite the subject. So yeah, I'm gonna wait till we get 2 minutes in to really get into it. So the A's play today against the Astros. They didn't really talk about this on first take. They didn't talk about any baseball on first take. How do you feel about that? Because I don't like it. Baseball is very relevant. It's in the playoffs, whereas football is still at the beginning of the season. You'd think they talk about the fact that it's the ALDS and that there are like 8 teams left, but no, they totally discount it. And unless you go to unless you go to MLB TV, which not everyone has the money to get. Um, I still live with my parents, but once I move out of my parents, I'm probably not going to be able to get that package. So I'm kind of disappointed. In ESPN, plus their Max Kellerman, the Yankees are in it. Same with Stephen A's Yankees. So I don't know why they wouldn't be talking about the Yankees. Or how about the great storyline that is the Braves and the A's that of them advancing for the first time in like at least 14 years, some of them longer. So I'm actually very disappointed. Yeah, we're at the 2 minute mark. Let's get into actual uh, first take. So it started off with a hilarious segment from Stephen A. From his home. He's like 49 points. They gave uh, uh they gave 45 points given up. This is the quote, and said, "All I gotta say is, how about them Cowboys?" This is and that was from his home, and his laugh is just hilarious. Like his laugh when he's talking about the Cowboys, it's just so animated. He speaks with such conviction. And then they talk about the Cowboys defense, and I'm also going to be talking about this game in general. So combine a few segments here. Stephen A. was acting like it was Christmas. He was having cookies and milk, kind of to resemble Santa Claus, saying Cowboys stink. And I came up with this awesome line. There's no D in Big D. I thought that was pretty clever. I'm not usually that clever. And he blames it on also the coaching, like because they have Mike Nolan as their D coordinator. Have you seen Mike Nolan with the 49ers? He couldn't even coach Alex Smith. And yeah, so basically the Cowboys defense and coaching staff is terrible, and they blame that on Jerry Jones for not hiring a good D coordinator or a good coach. That he wants a yes man, and really you don't want that in a head coach necessarily a lot of the time. And let's go further into this. And Max Kellerman has actually said it's less about that and more about the great play of basically the great play that the Browns had with, like, they're finally using Odell. Stefanski threw up some great plays this week against them. They need to work on their defense, but it was kind of garbage time when they were letting up points. Clark even said a few things. I think no, Keyshawn said some awesome things. Yeah, he said he blames it on the secondary personnel. Yeah, and he's the one that brought up Nolan as becoming their DC. And oh wait, he also says that Zeke needs to be more effective because Dak's been having to pass it quite a bit more. Zeke just hasn't been himself. So if you're a Cowboy fan, if you're Stephen A., you're loving this whole conversation. Anything Cowboys Browns today, He keeps blaming it on the Cowboys though and not giving the Browns credit. I think that's wrong. They came up with some pretty clever plays, like a few reverse plays, and then like the reverse, and then the halfback, and then the reverse where that ended up being a throw by Jarvis Landry to Odell. Odell was wide open. They were drawing up plays to get Odell and Jarvis Landry wide open the entire game. And Nick Chubb went down at one point, and they were still slamming them with Kareem Hunt. So that's enough for that game. And I just want everybody saying, how about them Cowboys? No D and Big D. So I'm going to talk about basketball. In fact, I may watch the next few weeks, even though I swore I would boycott it for the rest of the season because my team wasn't in it, and I don't really, and was stopped being fun because they took a break from playing. They avoided the finals. The Heat actually avoided the final sweep, and Jimmy Buckets. I love this guy. I mean, I may not like basketball as much as I used to, but Jimmy Butler, I love his pedigree, his competitive drive. And if you're not if you're a teammate or having locker room problems with this guy, that means you probably don't want to win as much as he does, and that means that you should not that you should maybe think about being more like him. That guy just had had no 3-pointers made, 40 points, and he had 40 points, 11 rebounds, 13 assists. The first 40-point triple-double win, I think, in the finals or something. And that's without his two best teammates, Dragic and Bam Adebayo. They kept Davis at bay. I know Stephen A was saying that that Davis had a terrible performance. But that's because they consistently had like a bunch of guys on him and played him smart. They forced him to pass it, forced him to take dumb shots. They were really covering him really well because they knew they couldn't necessarily guard LeBron as much. But I think they did a really good job at that, limiting the damage from the guy they knew they could stop if they crowd him. I mean, they were like magnet defense. It was pretty amazing. Considering their best rim defender was gone, and their facilitator was gone. Well, their point guard was gone. Was one of their best 3-point shooters, which is Dragic. Also great at stealing, the smart defender. And yeah, and he actually said Jimmy Butler's performance was a lot higher. Was actually better than what AI did against Shaq and Kobe. That's a huge compliment because he really respects Shaq and Kobe, and he considers the Shaq and Kobe duo in 01 one of the best teams of all time. Really high up there. Probably best team in the 2000s. He has very high praise for that, and Allen Iverson and all three of those players. So the fact that he's saying that that this was better than AI's performance in Game 1 is amazing, and he's saying that partially because statistically and also just the winning basketball he played, just the overall dominance on the scoreboard as well as just in general, where basically also the timing of it. You're down 2-0, you desperately need a win. You can't go down 3-0, and now you're only one game behind in the series. With their number is 3, and the Lakers number is only 2, but that's a lot better situation than what it could have been. A 2-1 series isn't that bad. So I'm looking for. So I'm gonna start watching just to stay relevant here. I guess at least very least I'll be following it. There is a lot of baseball on too that I'm more interested in. Yeah, and Chris Bosh of all people, said something, and I respect the hell out of this guy. Plus, he knows LeBron, he knows Spoelstra, so he knows both of these some of the main people from this team very well. So he couldn't really be biased because he'd be criticizing one of his teammates either way. He's a longtime teammate of LBJ back in the Heat, and he's also was coached by Spo for a little bit longer than he was with LeBron James. Most of it was concurrently. Great person for this year. Is also a great vocal. He's a great person for this because of that. And Jimmy won. The Lakers got outplayed. That's what he said. So I think he's agreeing with more Max because Stephen A was talking about, well, AG didn't play well. Well, it's because they outplayed Kate. They minimized his impact. He also said that Jimmy needs some help moving forward because there's no way you can consistently do that. I mean, I know he was being heavily guarded the whole time and still did all that, but they need help. He needs help from somebody to step up, like Tyler Hero was mentioned. I think that I mean, I feel that's a pretty good player, but I mean, I don't really know too much about their team at this point. Duncan Robinson had a great regular season. He's young though, just like Tyler Hero. So they're not, maybe they're not quite ready for the moment. I could be wrong, but those two need to step up because they're a key part of their offense, especially because Bam and Dragic are out, like I said earlier. Um, and he's really proud of the Heat for continuing even after Big Three to play with toughness and grit. And he likes it. And he even pointed out that even the only reason the only scenario in which Coach Spoelstra would be would have like main guys is if he had that Big Three again: Bosch, LeBron, and Wade, all in their younger years, all in their primes. And then the other side to that is he would rather, in general, play with a team where there's no main person. However, Jimmy Butler was that last night. That at any given game, you can adjust because that everyone's an equal threat. And that so far that has I don't get where he's coming from that, but because Jimmy Butler had such a good game. But in general, if those other two were healthy, it'd be different. He wouldn't be putting up these stats. Um, he then talked about LeBron walking off. This is the only opinion I trusted on this. I didn't trust Stephen A or Max because they don't know what it's like as a player or what a coach would accept. And to me, that's so. Bosch's opinion is the only one I wrote down. Yeah, Bosch says it's okay. The game was over. There wasn't really much time left. All they had to do was dribble out the clock. The other team had to dribble out the clock, and that's and it shows that he really wants to win. Like he's so pissed off that he lost. That's what you want. That's the same reason I like Jimmy Butler. And Bosch even admitted to do it all the time, and not all the time, but he has done it multiple times, and I respect that. I mean, Jimmy Butler probably would have done the same thing, and I respect, and so I kind of respect LeBron for it. Actually, he wants to win that badly, and when he loses, he's that irritated that he's going to go out and get, and that he wants to go get revenge as soon as possible. And yeah, and then he had to rank LeBron. They asked him to rank where LeBron is. Is he the greatest of all time? He said, "I'm not going to rank anybody because of he didn't go into that, but but I don't rank people because every position is different, and every skill set is different, and every era is different. There's no way you compare to it. For example, Wilt was like six. Well, actually, Bill Russell. Bill Russell was like 6'9" ish, and like at most he was 6'9". So you put him at center, a 6'9" center in there in today's world, that's not going to do anything. Like he's not going to get the same rebounds. He's not going to win as many championships. Also, there were far fewer teams. So versus 11 rings. So you can't compare it to when they're going up against 7-footers and where there's also like more teams and Shaq is the same way. There are people just like Shaq now, his size and strength. So like DeAndre Jordan probably is about the same size as Shaq. So it depends on your era. My point is you can't compare them. It's an era in which you're fit to dominate. So that's my outlook on it. But on why I wouldn't rank people, but he didn't specify that. But he did say LeBron is one of the greatest to ever play. He didn't rank where when kind of pressed. So, Yeah, and after I'm done with this first take, because I'm pretty much done stating because I condensed it so much. I'm going to be talking about today's my predictions for upcoming baseball or just random sports stuff because that they did not mention here. They did talk about the 49er game. Um, I do like how they put the 49ers, even with Garoppolo, have struggled at the QB position. I have this theory that they should do like Sanu. It's crazy. I was more of a joke, but then I thought about it. I'm like, this guy's 6 for 6 passing his career. He's he's done actual pass plays. He's a good runner, so he can. It could be like a wildcat situation. Not always works, but it could be like a Lamar Jackson kind of thing. He's a big, strong receiver too, so you never know what he's going to do when he lines up on the field. And uh, he's 6 for 6 in his career as of 2 years ago. That may have improved, but he also is really good at has a really strong arm for the deep ball. You should at least test it for fun. I mean, I'm saying if you need a deep like a Hail Mary or something, play to his strengths. It was more of a joke. I just thought it'd be funny to point out that Sanu is probably a better quarterback than what Mullins was last night, or about the same, because at least he has a strong arm. Mullins was floating it up last night, and the first thing we did was get a pick, and then we couldn't score. All we had was McKinnon, and that's all they had to guard. Because Mullins threw like it right to the other team like a ton of times. I didn't even check to see how many times. And so there's a whole segment on Wentz. I'm not going to go into the Wentz aspect of this because he only scored 25 points despite having the ball most of the game, like given chance after chance after chance to score, and he only scored 25, and he almost lost. He also threw a fair share of bad passes, so I'm not going to talk. So I'm not going to go too far in depth into that. And Dan Orlovsky said something too. I did not like saying, "Oh, Wentz had a great game. Wentz looks so confident going in." What confidence should he have? He was 0-3. He was like 0-3 record. Of course, he's playing. If any time he should have confidence is against a depleted team, via injuries, where their best secondary player and their leader of the secondary that calls plays on the field, Richard Sherman, is out, and the D line, one of the best D linemen in the league, is out too. Who also helps call the shots on the D line. So our on field play callers were out. That's a big hit. And the 49ers play callers were out as far as on field to make adjustments. So of course he should have tore him up. And also our starting, they also, like I said, they also got the ball almost the entire game because Mullins kept throwing picks and turning it over. And yeah, I don't really think Wentz was very good. I think he was He was below average, and our quarterback was just like the worst thing I've seen since like I can't even think back. I can't even think. He was probably if he keeps playing, if he were to play a full season like that, he'd probably break the record for most interceptions, even beat out Jameis Winston, and he wouldn't have nearly the same amount of touchdowns. He'd have like that was just, and the scouting report came pretty quickly on that guy. He got shelled, to put it that way. They need to put Beathard in next game if Garoppolo can't play, because Mullins is just terrible. He played well against shitty teams, and then once he played a slightly better opponent than the Jets or the Giants, he fell apart. Yeah. Then they talk about Brady. Yeah, then we go into Brady, and it's like, is he elite? Is he not? I mean, based on that game, I feel like he played really well. There was that interception against a crappy defense. It's hard to tell when you're playing. There, I put the Chargers defense right up there with the Cowboys defense. Not a very good team. In fact, one of the worst secondaries, and yet he like Brady had all day to pass it. It was just a bad defensive effort from the Chargers. Yeah, the D line never really found, and they let up a lot of, and the receivers always had time to get open. It wasn't really the secondary's fault necessarily. And then Herbert threw a pick at the end. Do not blame Herbert. I will not allow it. I know he threw a pick at the end, but the dude was 20 for 25 with only one interception, scored 31 points against one of the most stacked teams in the league. I I honestly, that pick was, he had to airmail it and make a dangerous pass because he had to push it up the field and the receivers wouldn't get open. Would you rather take a sack? And it was a situation where you had to march down the field. You can't just throw, and if you threw it away, well, that's the loss of down, and you're trying, and it's wasted. You've wasted your time. It was a situation where it was a lose-lose situation, and I blame that on the defense for giving up 38 points. Completely their fault. They were just out. I think as a team, the Buccaneers outplayed them, but I don't think Tom Brady necessarily was 100% the reason why they won. I guess he's. It's hard to tell when someone's elite when they're playing bad teams, and also they have all those weapons. They did lose to the Saints. I feel like that's a litmus test, a good test. Um, but and so that's their one loss. Guess two division rivals. Uh, so yeah, I'm kind of done talking about First Take. Um, so I'm gonna start just going into baseball. I'm gonna show you guys my predictions. First off, we're gonna be talking about A's. Well, I'm gonna say Astros versus A's because I think we have home field. Astros v I can't believe I spelled Astros wrong initially. Wait, what? I'm picking the A's since it's McCullers, not Greinke. I think Greinke's going to be the one guy. Is going to be maybe is, and I think McCullers has had a hard time staying healthy. They should be using Greinke because he's had enough rest. I don't know what they're thinking there. And we got Bassett, and he's on a shorter rest than what Greinke would have been. And Bassett's been lights out lately, and he's been playing on short rest down the stretch of the season, so he's used to that. He's used to a lot of pitches. Whereas I guess Greinke, he did throw a lot of pitches last time, and he's not used to that. So I don't know. I think also the Astros played a Twins team that just didn't like. I'm glad we're not playing the Twins because the Twins have a play style that would beat the A's, whereas the Astros we're so familiar with the Astros and we had such a good season against them, and we're so familiar with them that we played them a lot this year. I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty happy we're playing them. We won 7 out of 9 against them. I say we can make it. We can win at least 3 out of 5 here. I think we could do it. Although Valdez shut out the Twins, but I feel like they're more built to be between the Twins than the A's. It's, that's just my thoughts because the Twins don't really. I don't know. There's something. The Twins, I feel like, aren't as good at being the A's and the A's are a better version of the Twins. The A's also just have more guys, aren't just power swinging. For example, the Twins have all power hitters. Up and down their lineup, maybe except for one or two guys can hit a home run, but they don't have the speed. They also don't have the greatest OB and the OBP on other players. It's just not. It's just all or nothing swings. The A's are pretty patient at the plate. That's another big thing. The A's have patient hitters that tend to get on. I know they have power in their lineup, but they also have guys like Grossman or Kemp or and Murphy's red hot at just getting on base. A lot of it's things like that, or Tommy La Stella, long at bats that usually just get him on base or advance the runner or things like that. They play to get one run instead of clear the bases. So it's a little bit different, and also we're just familiar with their pitchers. Um, this year was only West versus West, so the NL, so it's all the AL. It's all the Western Division teams. AL and NL played each other this year, and then and then you go into the next part, which was Central on Central, which is NL Central, AL Central, and then the East played the East. We hadn't played the White Sox before, so we do know the Astros. So you'll see improvement on knowing what to swing at and knowing the tendencies just from playing each other. So I'm looking forward. So I'm picking the A's maybe in a close ball game. If they could get to the bullpen, that's the key. Key for get to bullpen sap. So yeah, because I'm basically done doing first take for today. That went pretty quickly. I want to make sure I have a little bit more time. So yeah, key for Oakland, get to the bullpen quickly and extend starting pitching. And it's vice versa. Um, he for Houston efficient starting pitching and patient ABs. Yeah, and due to the A's only having like really one key to the game that I just pointed out, um, I guess also the A's do need to uh start hitting earlier in the game, but the pitching for the A's cannot give up home runs. A's can't give up long ball. Yeah, the A's should not be giving up the long ball as much as they have been in that last series, because you're facing a lot. It needs to be. You're not going to be able to score as much, I feel, against Houston's starting pitching as you did against games 2 and 3 against the White Sox. They have a lot more. It's going to be a lot harder. Um, I'm picking the A's just based on what I saw in the regular season. I'm also a homer, but I'm pretty objective. So this is more of the toss-up game than what the 5 o'clock game is, which is the Rays and the Yankees. I guess that's actually a good game too. We got a great AL this year, but I'm actually picking the Yankees over the Rays because the Rays don't have the same. They both have great pitching and they're like red hot. They're both red hot, but I feel like the bats of the Yankees are able to destroy anybody right now that they're healthy again. And then, so yeah, prediction. Uh, Oakland 5. Why no? Oakland 6. And then Houston. Houston would be like, here it is. That's my. No, I'm doing 6-3. That's my game 1 prediction. I pick Oakland to win 6-3 because once they get to that bullpen, they're going to get a few runs, and there's going to be a few close calls on the baseball pass because the A's have been giving up hits and walks, but they've been able to get out of it. That's the key. And also, our bullpen will probably shut them down because we got the best bullpen in the league. And I'm pretty sure they're finally settled in. Hopefully, Hendricks can. I mean, Hendricks settled down last game after a terrible first game. He'll have rest, things like that. So I'm going to end I'm going to do the Rays. The Rays will probably Rays re. So yeah, I'm. I don't even. I think Garrett Cole will be on the mound, right? I'd have to see the pitching matchup, but I know Garrett Cole or it's gonna be Garrett Cole or Tanaka. That's my guess. Those are both really good pitchers right now. I'm predicting Garrett Cole because he would have enough rest, and why not pitch him in game one? And I think Garrett Cole will probably win just this game. They'll win this game because Garrett Cole is so good. Whereas Tanaka will blow the next. Tanaka didn't pitch well in game two, so I'm thinking they might go Hap for game two. But for this game one, the Rays will. The Rays need to continue to pitch well. Keys for KB. I'm actually gonna say Rays are keep the ball in are no home runs allowed and get Cole's pitch count high. Pitch count high early. You're not going to be able to beat Garrett Cole, I think, unless your goal is to just get him out of there. And the long ball needs to be stopped because that's what the Yankees are built on. I don't really think they're going to be walking people as much as the Indians did. And then keys for Yankees are get plenty of strikeout. Get plenty of strikeouts. Sanchez needs to not let any pitches go by him at catcher. Yeah, basically that's their offensive and defensive. That's their defensive, and then like just get on base. Get on base. Don't try to hit a home run every time. So yeah, those are the keys to the game. I'm actually picking the Yankees in this one if they have Garrett Cole. Yankees. Well, Yankees 7. Rays. Probably more like 4 because I don't trust their bullpen lately. So yeah, they're both going to be 3-run games. That's what I usually try to predict around in the playoffs. I feel like it's a very common theme. What are your guys' picks? Let me know in the comment section. I'm kind of done for now. And I'll be back tomorrow to actually go over whatever baseball games are on. I'd have to check to see which ones. So, peace till next time.